Half a day, buenas dan saludo para todo do semana kung binigi programan Marianas Agupa. Ang sábado talos dia panelos ginin oran alas 9 gagan este oran alas 11. Undang kululu na kulo para todo do samzo na mani kung binigi 100.3 FAMA. Rito tumbo dia panelos giyon Cnmi lokwi na kapasidad elektrisidad gayri. Gitunin radio di otro siya lokwi na elektrisidad di Marianas Agupa Facebook dan YouTube. Mala datapan sige mo nagwini sa pago na dia Agosto 27, 2022. Después di mapanyagon Hesus Cristo. Kasi niya man malified na palabran difunto Monsignor Antonelli naginin guiza jan guiza giza datana jahululo si Hesus Cristo gilina lata. Dahil trongkon iba na paratakalang hipaw na sabalo. Mayla, datapan sige mo na gwini sumukan ni programata para todo do samzo ni maneko gwini. Bonito na haani, pago na dia para tatutun i gubernatorial forum gi oran alas 9:15 gi tiyo tsago pus na saga ha ihagua gwini gi 100.3. Lo antes sa ditapan sige mo na panelos bala datanay don kululu na agradecimiento i humuhugwi i programan Marianas Agupa i anonymous donor si Jules Masi, i Diabetes Prevention Foundation si Jules Masi, Taber Foundation, dylantaber.com, isya man malefay, dan lokwi mapatumagyan o ginini Bravo Pharmacy and Wellness Center. Bunga man malefa pa rin review yamot mizo, garapan Kagman sa Roy Punaramas giza dandan, i Bravo Pharmacy and Wellness Center. Time check at 9 o'clock pago na oran pago na hani.
Ikumit siyantin amot dyan hinemlo. I-Bravo Pharmacy dyan Central Maulik na hinemlo. Pronto dyan listo na servisyon amot para hinemlo. Agang watugi 233 amot 233-2668. Email is over prescription di bravomeds@gmail.com. Mabababa ginin lunis esta business. Ginin oran alas 9 giga. Esta oran alas 6 ipupoint. Sabado. Ginin oran alas 9 giga. Esta oran alas 1 ginalungan ni talo. Agar watugi 233-2668.
Alright, i Bravo Pharmacy and Wellness Center pago na sablo fanelos mga man malefa. No, mala datapan sige mo nagwini garapan Kagman danin way Punaramas kita dandan talo 9 o'clock Bravo Pharmacy and Wellness Center. Then lokwi tisiya man malefay na i garapan Public Farmers Market bala zata ajuda ilan siruta ginin siya lokwi mo na panyutsutsuhid. Masya mono istina nasyon na panelos tana jamuna na ilan zero imas unraw na tsotso para na produce i kinanota. Pues para todo sa ado siya man malago matsagi di man fresco siya na gulay. Bisita si Paula, sino si Leroy, guwato gi Garapan Public Farmers Market. Okay, then igwaha problema ni ito mo air conditioning ikarita mo, mga malefan at yun. Bisita si Amy, i Ace Air Conditioning, gaya itatinitaro su Garapan, Ace Air Conditioning. Alright? Naging bumiyay ho papaluta mga malefan at yung saga gi Coral Garden Rota Hotel, sexy kindo o sino si Red, gay giha ikan tuntasi. So nige si Jules Masi po denaw i Coral Garden Rota Hotel. Pago i klema dinapatuto dyan to gini ni Joten Market sa department stores, shop local, shop Joten.
Today's weather is brought to you by Joten Markets and Department Store. Shop local, shop Joten.
Alright, po sinige gini i Joten Markets and Department Store, shop local, shop Joten. Mala apanelos na tapan sige mo nang minitsumukan i programata. Tsukan mo na na programa sa bonito na hani. Pinili na bala that no special na kulo para isigenti siya na sumililibra ihanin mapanagonyag ni na Simona para si Evelyn Oka. Happy birthday kulo para hogo sis. Dahil sign na ni Nay mas mauling na hinimlo. Para lokwi si Venicia San Nicolas. Happy birthday kulo. Si Kumayrin Janet Mundo. Happy birthday kulo. Para hogo lokwi Joyce Ed Tudela. Happy birthday kulo Ed. Gita Washington. Para todo si man sumililibra lokwi i-birthday o tunga naman pa-party no? Para si Jennifer Furry Maratita. Happy birthday kulo. First Lady Loki Diane Torres, happy birthday kulo. Para si Millie Manglonia, happy birthday kulo. Si Emma Peters, happy birthday kulo. Si Parinjo Salas, Giza Idaho, happy birthday kulo para hogo. Scott Manglonia, happy birthday kulo. Jeffrey Borja, happy birthday kulo. Para hogo lokwi no Tanya Tabuchi, happy birthday kulo gini na sa tamo. Si Tun Felipe Roberto, happy birthday kulo para hogo. Para hogo loki Primon Jack Manglonia, ganong Papa Luta, happy birthday kulo. Si Mel Babauta, happy birthday kulo. Loki dan para si Steph Hofsnyder, or Snyder, sorry loki para hogo. Spencer Steph, happy birthday kulo Steph. North Carolina. Alright, pues mala sa sige muna ora hakantea guesta. No wasi asunto antisa di tanapan halum siya bisitata. Ito ta gubernatorial candidate para estina Sabalo. No pinili na wasi asunto bini para talang nususo. Nahunggan gwasya man masusesidigi sa Guam. Importante sa gipaingis din manahalong binigit programan Marianas Agupa nas tapagot si Tsinglunga isip issue para adoy mas pulo menos 50 na man malanguta. Dosa na kareta zati manaafat sa siya appointment. Zanigi dong kulero na problema gi referral gi Island Guam. Kasi nigi pwede no may kung estinay man manaway responsibilidad when og hospital no matan za aligaw esti mono na para affect sa siya guasya naman malanguta man mananay appointment at siya ma-meet appointment sa dosa na kareta. Nigi uno na dongkulo na problema gweno sa titsago na isla bisinuta. Nigi sa hululo otro gwini no unggan gwag ni celebration ma-celebra House of the Chamorro di Chamorro sa San Diego za guasiano manhono representante man mafata siya ikuturata zan tafko siya na atesta us bonito na asunto masusede sa San Diego. Guaha siya man ninafan fonton na guasya timan sauno sa sempe di man mamamayla natin po siya mas mana bonito igwa representasyon ginin islata de siya ta kumbida lokwe tourist ginin Amerika para Hapona o sino Korea na para tangan na halong tourist sinya lokwe man na halumi tourist ginin Amerika so nigi sinya no maistira mo na no alright po sinigi siya man masusesidi gini i-otro guasya no humuzong the Pulweno that tafaisin sa ginomolom si Governor Torres. Okay. Logi bisenti pa gumala. Zata na panaholo mas di bisitata. Finini na si ito lieutenant. Oh, kasi lieutenant governor. Zata na holom si Representative Tina Blon. Okay. All right. Sampai siya. Kita nanangga si Governor Torres di presenti pago po halom. Pwede malum na join na forum. Let me do a type audio check. What did the house rule gani para esti ka forum. Tres na question ni para Kaisin. No 5 minutos managwaha para kandidato siya na para ma-answer siya na question para i-interest i-publiko. I-tautautan minina man ading anit, maniikmo hila na nota. Then, i-ultimo wini kumo tempo. Wag wini question na isnyata na panholo ni visit the listening audience. Uno na question para uno na para kandidato sa gingwaha mas question. Daw na may paisa ni siya ni manulang lago. Sina magsuli now na question gini ni kumalo siya na tautautan gini buhatin ko daw. Masinala para pagon na hani. Uno na question gini listening public para kada uno na kandidato para mas takilo izahululo na pwesto ni gobyerno. Wala data pansige mo na sa iura gini no anak ko katutuhon mo ni siyempre numero na magsuli para ibaloto ko siyempre pinili na si Representative Tina Sablan para sinili siya para tinituhon pinatili na ito kalitan ng governor i-ultimo para si Governor Torres naging pumalo na po. Wala data welcome Representative Tina Sablan. Can you hear me? Okay, let's see if we have an audio here. Okay, wait. Okay, go ahead. Can you get your microphone working there, Tina? Representative Tina? Okay, click your.
How's that?
Oh, there you go.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Sorry. 1 sec. Okay. Better?
Okay, that's better. So the rules here, Representative Sablan, I will not interrupt because of it's gonna have a garble. Okay, the audio is gonna garble if we talk at the same time. So I'll wait until you finish, and then we'll go to the Lieutenant Governor. We're gonna do a mic check with the Lieutenant Governor.
Good morning.
All right, mic check is good. Okay, so we are ready to start. You guys have the question that has been sent to you and the time limit that we need to follow. And we're going to open the forum to our listening public at the end of the closing statement. And if you decide to continue that exchange with our listening public, that's up to you. But we allowed one question from the listening public. Is that okay?
Fine.
That sounds good.
Okay, so let's proceed. We have okay, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor to our Representative Tina Sablan, who is seeking the highest office in the Commonwealth. Your opening statement, and then we'll go to the Lieutenant Governor. All right, go ahead, Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Glenn, and half a day, Tito, to everyone who's listening and viewing the show today, and all the people of the Marianas. Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor Arnold. Glenn, I want to thank you, first of all, for hosting this important forum. I believe this makes you the first to offer a platform for all 3 gubernatorial candidates to appear at the same time, to share our plans and answer questions, and hopefully we will get our 3rd gubernatorial candidate shortly, because this is such a quick election, and our Marianas is really at a crossroads. People deserve to have opportunities to hear from all of their candidates so that they can make informed decisions about the direction that they want the Commonwealth to go and the kind of leadership they want to represent them. So my name is Christina Sablan, and I am the Democratic candidate for governor of the Commonwealth. My running mate is Layla Fleming-Staffler, a longtime educator and now my colleague in the House of Representatives. We are both daughters of the Marianas. I was born on Saipan and grew up on this island. Layla was raised on Tinian and is now the representative for Precinct 5. I am currently the representative for Precinct 2. I chair the Health and Welfare Committee, and Layla Staffler chairs the Education Committee. So our backgrounds include about 40 years in public service and leadership in areas that range from education to journalism, of course, government service and advocacy for environmental protection, for healthcare, education, and government transparency. Layla has a master's degree in educational leadership, and I hold a master's in urban and regional planning. That's a little bit of our background. Layla and I are running together for governor and lieutenant governor because we love these islands and we hear the sentiments of our people who are yearning for change, and we want change too. And when we talk about change, we're talking about good governance. That's what this campaign is really all about. For us, good governance means honesty and fairness in government. It means putting our people first above self-interest and fighting corruption. It means ending this toxic culture in our government of political intimidation and retaliation. In a Sablan administration, public servants should know that they will never have to fear losing their jobs because of who they vote for or their political views. And we will protect whistleblowers. Good governance also means fiscal responsibility. That means using public funds only for public purposes and prioritizing our precious resources to make investments in our people, in their education and their well-being, in our healthcare system, in infrastructure and public services that lift everybody up and improve the quality of life for all. It also means economic development that is not just for the few, but development that is for the future, for our children and for future generations, for small businesses, for working families, for our most vulnerable community members. We're talking about opportunities for everyone to thrive in our community. And so it means that we make decisions with the future in mind, guided by our values and by our vision for a Commonwealth that is safe, healthy, just, and beautiful. For Layla and me, this campaign is about more than just the 2022 election. It's about more than just the 4 years. This campaign is about planting seeds for the kind of future that we can be proud of, a Commonwealth where everybody can thrive. That's the kind of leadership that Layla and I offer, and that is the kind of change that we are working for. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Representative Sablan. So the same question goes to our Lieutenant Governor, or rather the opening statement to our Lieutenant Governor. Go ahead, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. I also would like to extend Mayor Apatang and I's appreciation to you, Glenn, for hosting this and facilitating this forum. Like the good congressman stated, this is the first of hopefully several forums that will be participating as candidates for governor and lieutenant governor. So with that, let me get to my opening statement. Good morning. Buenos días, Lesor Mamoy, Marianas. Mayor Apatang and I are thankful to each and every one of you who have inspired us and encouraged us to continue to serve our Commonwealth. Every single day, we hear from our people. As a lieutenant governor, previously as member of the Senate, and just an ordinary citizen out there. We hear stories of trials, tribulations, and hardships. And yet, every day we are also inspired by our community's spirit of perseverance to fight the good fight for our families, for our community, and for our future. You know, despite all the hardships that we have and continue to endure, our people's love for our community continue to inspire us to move forward and to work harder to bring about the enduring inspiration that each of us had when we became a Commonwealth. Myself, Dave, Mayor Apatang, and all of the independent candidates, our families, and all of our supporters stand to remind all of our Marianas that we can be the island that we envision ourselves to be together. The strength of our islands has always been rooted in what we as a people can achieve together. We are in this together. The challenges that we face today, whether it's in trying to get back to good governance, ethical government, integrity, is a challenge. And it's going to take all of us together to get there. That is our strength. Our strength is always rooted in our people. And our strength is rooted in our experience. Todo do experience itaw-tawta. It's get muna pan medgudit kumu community not. I wish to thank folks who are tuning in today to learn more about our track record, our results, and our vision for our Marianas. A transparent government that works for wealth in common. Enteramente, todo do efencas, enteramente para todos. Parewa lo que ya sasayan si Congresswoman. Todo do fan man miresi, ti para nos quantos ha. And the government to rebuild the confidence and the trust that we have seemingly lost. You know, leadership starts from the very top, and with your support, Mayor Apatang and I and all the independent candidates intend to, and will be the leaders that our forefathers envisioned and our people need us to be, and the leaders that all of our children deserve to have as stewards of their future. At this critical juncture, with your support, our islands can and will be a beacon of shining light, a source of pride, a government that all of our Cnmi people can be proud of. We ask each one of you to join us as we build our Commonwealth into the islands that each and every one of us can stand behind and proudly proclaim, Viva Marianas. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Governor. Let me see if we have the governor. Let's see if we have him. Nope, we still don't have him. So we're gonna continue on. We're still gonna wait for him and allow him to join if he chooses to. So for now, let's go to the question here. Representative Sablan, what is your top 3 priorities for the first 100 days if elected governor, and how you will measure your success in each of your priorities? You have 5 minutes, Representative Sablan.
Thank you, Glenn. Our top 3 priorities in the first 100 days of the Sablan-Staffler administration will really be about laying the groundwork for the long-term goals and our vision for the Commonwealth. So our first priority is to create a solid foundation for good governance. Good governance starts at the top and it's felt by everyone. It ripples out throughout our government and throughout our community. And it's so important to have government departments and agencies that are led by qualified, ethical public servants who really care about this community. And so within the first 100 days, we will have most, if not all, of our cabinet positions filled by people who meet the standard. And we will accept and applications for key political appointments. Incumbents, by the way, are welcome to apply as well. We will also issue an executive order requiring training in government ethics, the Open Government Act, workplace rights, and customer service. And this will be training required for all cabinet members, board appointees, and employees of the executive branch. This is really about beginning the work of making sure that everyone is treated fairly and respectfully when they walk into any government office, no matter who they are, and that the public servants that assist them are professional, courteous, and knowledgeable about their jobs. Creating a culture of good governance requires investing in the training and professional development of all of our public servants. And to measure the success of these initiatives, we'd like to see, for one, shorter wait times in government offices, improvements in performance and customer service as reflected in evaluation, and empowered citizens who are not afraid to reach out to their government for help. Second, we will prioritize restoring fiscal responsibility in our government. Fiscal responsibility really goes hand in hand with public trust. And this goal is not going to be realized in just 100 days, but to really move forward as a government, as a community, we need to know where we stand. And so in the first 100 days, our administration will conduct a thorough review of the fiscal condition of this government. And we will publish that report online on a government website that is user-friendly and easy to navigate. We will also issue an executive order to conduct an energy audit of our government, including both buildings and fleet vehicles. The government is notoriously the worst CUC customer and is in debt in the millions of dollars. And we will set targets for efficiency, and we will track our progress and report on that to the people regularly as well. And we also want to include our community members, our small businesses, our workforce, the people of the Marianas, as key stakeholders in our economy and as beneficiaries of our Commonwealth investment. So we will do this by laying down the foundation for our Marianas Jobs Now initiative. There's details of that on our website at sablonstaffler.com. We will appoint a small business advisory council, and we will implement a buy local policy for government purchasing and procurement. And we will lead by example. Layla and I will never illegally travel first class at taxpayer expense. We will pay our own utility bills. We will drive our own cars. There will be no reimbursements for personal or political expenses. Public funds are for public purposes, period. So in measuring our success in that endeavor, I would like to see the financial report completed within the first 100 days and at least 2 of our fiscal initiatives fulfilled. Third, we will prioritize programs that kick off our investments in our villages in vibrant, healthy, and environmentally conscious village life. Because clean villages and caring for our land and our waters, these are foundations for community pride, for community health, and learning opportunities for young people. We will reestablish village sanitation programs and education programs in Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. We will launch a new youth conservation corps to involve our young people in the stewardship of our public spaces, our beaches, our historic sites, our parks, and our trails. And in measuring success, 100 days into our administration, we should be able to look around at our villages and see visible changes in the form of cleaner beaches, better maintained public areas and trails, and more community members who are ready and willing to do their part in keeping our Marianas clean, safe, and livable. Thank you.
Great. That's thank you for that, Representative Sablan. Same goes. The same question to our Lieutenant Governor. What is your top 3 priorities for the first 100 days if elected governor, and how You will measure your success in each of the priority. You got 5 minutes there, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Glenn. By the start of our first 100 days, we would have by then a robust report from the transition team. That would be the first question to all the transition team to put together what is the priorities of the departments that they are going to be looking into. You know, although that would be part of the 100 days, in the immediacy and the urgency that we face today, and Congresswoman Sablan will acknowledge this, is this seemingly never-ending issue with the 25% for all our retirees. That continues to dog us. Unfortunately, the governor submitted a budget only taking into consideration the first quarter of the next fiscal year. That's unfortunate. That's absolutely unfortunate. And I hope that the House of Representatives, in its deliberation of the budget for 2023, will consider putting together a budget that incorporates the 25%, so we don't have to come back at least for this fiscal year. That's priority number one. I will commit to putting a lot of effort in working collaboratively with the legislature to identify a funding source to reach and to address the whole fiscal year in 2023 and identify resources, revenue resources for a sustained situation with the 25%. I will work with them collaboratively, no matter the political divide that we seemingly create artificially. I will work collaboratively with them, not in an adversarial manner that we are witnessing today. And that's why our retirees seem to be on stress mode all the time. We will make sure that happens in the first 100 days of our administration. Secondly, we'll look at the infrastructure recovery. First, even the FEMA recovery funds for infrastructure seems to be just languishing for whatever reason. Unfortunately, today, as your Lieutenant Governor, have been taken out of communications and informations specifically on these issues. We will look to fast track these projects. These projects have to get on. It's almost 4 years since YouTube. I understand that there was even several projects in pseudo that haven't even been executed or implemented. That shouldn't be the case at all. I've had the experience of looking over and managing infrastructure developments from boat ramps at Fish and Wildlife to the biggest iconic marina when I was 36 years old. Because why? Because we had the focus. We focused on it and we got it done despite the challenges with funding. We will measure this and we will report to the people where each of these projects, whether it's on Tinian, Rhoda, or Saipan, There is no reason why Hopwood Junior High is still languishing in a repaired facility. FEMA made available tuition. And I will also pick up the phone and ask the regional office, the regional director of FEMA, what is going on with the college project. Because it seems to be a linchpin. We will measure this by a performance matrix, and each and every one that's responsible for this job will have a deadline, a timeline, and milestones to comply to. And just like Congresswoman Sablan said, we will also reassess and reevaluate the total expenditure, the fiscal situation of this government. I can say this in an anecdotal way because I don't have the data, because the data are not available to me. I don't have access to the financial management system, and I don't think Representative Sablan either. But that's a start. We have to reassess and reevaluate the expenditure part of our government. Do we need to resize different departments and hold them accountable? Yes, we will. Our cabinets would be vetted appropriately with strict requirements. And I'm going to say this right now, that our cabinets would cover the spectrums from independent to Democrats to GOP to those non-aligned whatsoever, if they have the necessary credentials and the integrity and the drive to move this Commonwealth forward. Measurements, we will have monthly matrix performance of this. I'm not as detailed as Congresswoman Sablan is, but basically it's in the same neighborhood. Now, before we started, you mentioned something about the lack of vehicles at our medical referral. That's a travesty. That shouldn't be the case. Are you aware, Glenn, that today we have departments, not necessarily department heads. We also have department heads who are driving around in V8s that cost $60,000. We have division directors that are driving around in luxury SUVs. And here we are talking about a vehicle for our patient in Guam. I will call the governor and say, hey, buy them a couple of vans, for crying out loud, a brand new van. And if you have to use my allocations, like you would help to reprogram, go ahead and do it. But that's a travesty. That's the travesty that we've been witnessing in this government, in this administration, unfortunately. That's the unfortunate part, is we're spending so much resources, financial and even human resources, on things that really don't count as much to our people. Dale, one van for $40,000 versus, in some of these departments, actually, to be truthful, change their cars every 6 months. So yeah, fiscal responsibility is going to be an issue too. And we will make sure. In my stint, in the first 2 years of my stint today as Lieutenant Governor, I know for a fact I'm probably the most unpopular Lieutenant Governor because I'm a fiscal conservative. Not necessarily so much, but I am responsible. I make sure that expenditures are appropriate, are proportionate, and addresses a real need. I'm sorry I started getting excited here, but you brought up a really unfortunate news this morning about our medical referral not having transportation system for our patients. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. Before we take a break here, I just want to address or bring up this question from our audience. Okay, where is candidate Ralph? Okay, I am sorry I cannot answer that question. Where is our governor? Question publico. He did got his link to the program. We're still waiting for him. If anyone out there see him, I don't know if he's still on island, but even if he's in the moon, he can still join us, okay, by the link. Anyway, let's go take a break. And this particular gubernatorial forum, hinihigwestig ininas Dylan, dylantober.com. Talaga na open na si Dylan. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the. Okay, we just lost momentarily the Lieutenant Governor. Can you reconnect again, please? Okay, we got them. Okay, so the next question, kalan mantikas Otra question Winnie. Para let me just speak in vernacular to those listening. We did algo takumbida ha i governor za representative algo taigwi ki mahalong trabiag Winnie. Los gumela za takumbida muna pa niya sa sti programata. Ano ay dong kulo na si Jusma si Dylan, dylanpower.com. Ngayon na Akatsuit i gubernatorial forum para paguna hani. It's mostly Dylan, dylanpower.com. Wala data kung sige muna. Okay, next question. The next question para idotan Representative Tina Sablan. You're next. Why do you deserve to be elected as governor of the Cnmi? And what makes you a better candidate than the other two running for governor? You got 5 minutes, Representative Sablan.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? I think
We're having a little problem with your internet connection.
Okay.
Okay, your audio, turn your audio on. Your audio, Representative Sablan, turn your audio on, your mic. Okay, stand by. Your audio.
Sorry. Let me try again.
Okay, can I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so the question for Representative Sablan, why do you deserve to be elected governor of the CNMI, and what makes you a better candidate than the other two candidates running for governor? You have 5 minutes, Representative Sablan.
Thank you, and I apologize for that difficulty earlier. I hope that's better now. Yes? Okay, thank you. So if it's okay with you, Glenn, I'd like to just briefly touch on the one issue that the Lieutenant Governor raised before the break regarding the retirees 25%. Because like the LT, I think all of us in the House leadership were truly appalled to get a budget proposal from the governor that provided nothing for the 25% for retirees, not to mention nothing from the general fund for operations. And we were also, of course, very concerned about the local match for Medicaid and delivering funding for our healthcare system. And I'm very pleased to report today in the House, we are poised to pass a budget that does provide for the next fiscal year for the full amount of the 25% for retirees, as well as addresses the local match requirements for Medicaid, as well as general fund monies for operations. And we will be taking that up at the House session this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So that's my update for the people. And thank you, Elsie, for raising that. I would also, so to get to the question, you know, I struggled a bit with this question because I wouldn't describe my view of the governor's position as being something that I deserve in the sense that I feel like I'm entitled to it, because being a governor shouldn't be like being a king or a queen. We don't have royalty here, right? And I've always seen elected office as being a position of public service and leadership. And, you know, to me, that means putting our community first and considering the greater good, the well-being of everybody, and especially our children and especially our future generations in all of our decision-making. And so it's from this perspective of public office that I am confident that Layla and I are more than qualified and prepared to lead the Commonwealth as governor and lieutenant governor We are the team that people know they can trust. And we will bring to the executive branch our values and our experience in public service, advocating for good governance, advocating for better education and training opportunities for our people, for improvements in our healthcare system and our infrastructure, and for the wise stewardship of our public resources. And we will lead by example. We will respect and uphold the laws of the Commonwealth, and there will be no more sweetheart deals, no more questionable sole source contracts and land transactions, and this toxic culture of political intimidation will end with the Sablon-Staffler administration. When we talk about honesty in government, we're talking about transparency. And let's be real, the LT touched on this in his comments as well. There is no transparency right now about how our public funds are being spent. The fact that we in the legislature have to resort to a subpoena just to get financial reports and data that we've been seeking for months from this administration just shows how much we, the people, are being kept in the dark. And in a Sablon-Staffler administration, we will publish these reports online because it's your money and you have the right to know how it's being spent. What Layla and I are offering the people of the Commonwealth is a chance for real change, for good governance. And we are offering leadership that they can trust and a vision for the Marianas that is bright and hopeful and achievable. I've always believed that the Marianas could be among the best places in the world to live and to work and to visit. And we have the resources, tremendous resources. We have incredible talent in our people. What has been missing, especially in this current administration, and what Layla and I are committed to providing is leadership and good governance, fairness and honesty in government, putting our people first, lifting everyone up. We are running because we love these islands, we love our people, and we know that we can lead our Commonwealth to the future that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Okay. Same question goes to the Lieutenant Governor. Why do you deserve to be elected as governor of the Cnmi, and what makes you a better candidate than the other two candidates running for governor? 5 minutes, Lieutenant. Your microphone. Okay.
Thank you. I also struggle with that question. I really did, and that's why I don't even have anything written down about it because, yeah, really, for me to tell people that I deserve to be a lieutenant governor or a congressman or a speaker of the House, I never really thought of it that way. I always served in the public sector based on the merits of my performance. So let me just put it this way. Yes, Mayor Apatang and I have served the Commonwealth for over 60 years together, and so we have experience from the get-go being in the trenches. I started at the bottom of the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. I was out collecting fisheries data, and Congresswoman probably started out in the same type of job, not necessarily fisheries data. Yeah, you actually work for fisheries data, but so the experience that we have, both of us, I at the Division of Fish and Wildlife, prepared me for the ups and downs, the trials, the tribulations, the challenges that comes with public service. Um, where are we today? Yes, I agree. We're not in the best situation, whether ethical, moral, fairness, justice. We anticipate we anticipate to look at all these issues that Representative Sablon has. But we also will move this Commonwealth forward, not just fiscally, but infrastructurally. Our people are suffering from the energy costs today. Really? $300 to pay for your August? What about September, October, November? We need to stop delaying projects that would benefit people, like alternative energy. We will. My experience with the mayor in infrastructure development and management certainly will help. Now, do I deserve because of that? I'm not going to say. I'll let the people decide that. Just like Representative Sablon said, we have experience working with our community, also in the legislature, in the trenches and different division and department level. I served in the House of Representatives. So did Dave, Mayor Apateng, and my colleague in the 16th legislature, Councilwoman Sablon. So we do have the experience, a wealth of experience to offer our people. But we're not going to say we deserve it. We'll let our people make that determination. So much has happened into our Commonwealth that we have really, that trajectory that we're going is not one that any one of us want to see. And I, unfortunately, have been taken to task, because unfortunately, at this point in time, here I am running for governor with the governor. I mean, opposing the governor. We made that decision. Dave and I made this decision to run after months of looking at things, looking at options, whether to just walk away from all this. But we decided to make a go and give it our best and let our people decide on that. We both are come from humble beginnings, and we're still in the humble area of our lives. But it's very my life has been very rewarding, public service, and starting to have a bigger family than I had anticipated. But I'm blessed with that. But Dave, Mayor Apateng, and I made that decision to give another 4 years of possibly a Palacios Apateng administration to help our people, lift our people. I fully agree. I fully agree that there needs to be fairness in our government, and how we do things, whether it's hiring, whether it's contracts. 7 or 8 of my ardent supporters got terminated, for crying out loud, because of their political affiliation with me. That's unconstitutional, first, I believe. But we don't have to go to the constitutionality of it. We have to go to, is it just? Is it fair? Is it moral? Because it certainly is not constitutional and it's not legal. And that's why we have a case in federal courts today. I will not terminate an individual without cause. If we don't have the resources for that position, and what I heard is there's over 1,200 new positions being funded by ARPA today. So you go figure. And I know that the Representative Sablan or Congresswoman Sablan is, and the House of Representatives are formulating the budget, and I don't envy them, because at the end of fiscal year 2023, going forward, there is a high probability of a fiscal and financial cliff for the Commonwealth. It's going to be a challenge. We've had to make really unpopular decisions prior to the pandemic, and that is to, one, cut back on work hours, and then furlough people. Personally, I got very frustrated when we were furloughing people, because we were furloughing people based on what the department heads give us, not because of real needs in the department or whether there's a good performing individuals. We have good performing individuals that we furloughed, and we left in some of the people that shouldn't even be there to begin with. But that's going to be the challenge that we're gonna face. And we need to bring back the merit system that is OPM and make that wholly and realistically an independent commission, as it should be. It should not be interfered by the executive branch nor the legislative branch. It should be an independent nature, and it should advocate. It should be an advocacy for good governance, training for government employees. Tina just mentioned in her opening statement for training. That's one of the biggest function of OPM. You and I, Glenn, probably went through some training courses sponsored by OPM. It's all about fairness and the rule of law, really. That's driving Dave and I to give ourselves the opportunity and give the people the opportunity to see whether they will give us that privilege to serve them. And yeah, do I deserve it? I don't even want to go there. But, the question is there, so we'll answer it the best we can. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor and Representative Sablan. We're going to the tail end of our forum today. Before we get to the closing statement, in our rules for the forum, we will allow one question for each from the listening audience. So for those listening audience, we have two numbers here. One question for each candidate, unless our candidate for governor wants to continue on. But the rule is the rule, so we'll take it as we go along. The number to the station is 670-234-5929. I'm going to take the first call for for each of the candidate, or 670-287-4536. We have one for the 4536 on the cell. Okay, so we have a question from the audience. We'll take this question. Your name, please, and reduce your background music. Reduce your background radio before we take this call. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your question. Good morning. Yes. Good.
Dan location Lieutenant Governor dan si Tina Mukmakudu claim na di sangon mo si ikumudu pan agaw dan agulakin no Lieutenant Governor kumumuli ki gobyerno mo na ni nananaw na dahil follow the rules of law na siyempre man guay kinikitano sa isalapin ita Kalau kasta gini kita kamu mau perhita, luta timian dan saipan. Bunga mapata sa lapig opsuna manera. Jadi na kadai si sa lapig gini sa yang Gables America taxi money tadi sisi bisni. Na debini ta pampareo todo do mamaresi tamana lekta kongresuta si Pina dan Lieutenant Governor na perhita todo sih. Sedikit lalu mampuso disrupted como gobierno del Congreso pisino tahu itu mau beliau apa konsumsi di sini now civil service or appointee no we have to follow the rules of law plan dan Congress woman Tina Sablam Lieutenant Governor Honor Colossus so jauh sedikit na kandidato sa asyikta Lieutenant Governor ni pero attend legislature ninaga ni legislature kahapa masyusadi di dunia office di Governor the Lieutenant asyikta jadi na I'm very powerful Lieutenant Governor dan loki imumaninna siya di legislature di pandanski magistrate mo na ofa kisunya siya Itano gini kita kamu luta kinian sa saipan. Tadi ni tataglen din na proudso si Tina na si Ono. Parenteso siya, todo de tres parenteso. Lo tanasua y parentes dan tanasua y accreditation y familia que mandan the government. You cannot do that in government service. You cannot do it. We have to follow the rules of law.
Okay.
Thank you, Glenn.
Okay, so no question here. Okay. Okay, so we don't have a question yet from the audience. 234-5929. One question for each of the candidate. Before we continue on, or 287-4536. Naging guaha question nizo naman kung pago para estidos na kandidato para gobyerno ima zahululo na pwesto. Panagang magi 670-287-4536 or 670-234-5929. Okay, I'm gonna take the landline. I mean the cell phone, and please one question for the candidate. Only one question for each candidate. And your name, please, for the record.
Okay, I'm going to take the landline, I mean the cell phone, and please, one question for the candidate. Only one question for each candidate.
Okay, what is your question? Your name, please, and your... Cell phone, the caller on the cell phone, please, it's your turn. Yes, the caller on the cell phone.
Yes.
Okay, reduce your background music so we don't have to hear the vibration.
The caller on the tip. Okay. Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
All right. So, what is your question to who?
Okay, this is for both of them, but I have a question on each. Okay, this is Fabian Indalecio, and this is to Lieutenant Governor Arno Indalecio Palacios. And I'm just going to go ahead and read my question here because I prepared it. This is a tough question mixed with an opinion, and it's unavoidable not to ask in order for our people to rather hear your comment, Lieutenant Governor, that really matters in voting you. All right, so in my opinion, I have witnessed the Torres Palacios administration is a major government failure these last 4 years terms because of corruption with constant abuse of public funds and government resources, as well as law enforcement, FBI released now criminal charges in our court by our AG to our governor. The biggest problem is silence and lack of transparency under this administration and the fear of our government employees to this administration. Why do the people of the Cnmi will have to trust you, the Lieutenant Governor, as a potential Cnmi governor? As far as transparency, in my opinion, again, I feel that you have not been transparent in regard to a corrupted government, even to the present time as to what went wrong to this failed government about over a year ago since your announcement. Also, people have questioned your first-class travel. Can you elaborate on this too? Thank you. Let me add the second question for Tina. Our Lieutenant Governor is thinking about this. For Tina, what will you say to the people who say you will be just another corrupted leader, just like everyone else? The other question follows with that. Another one is that people have said you are young and lacking experience to be a governor. What is your comment on this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Indalecio. Thank you for that question. Okay, we'll go to the Lieutenant Governor first. Okay, stand by. Let me get your mic.
Thank you. I know Mr. Indalecio because we've discussed this issue several times. One of the biggest issue that I have as a lieutenant governor is I don't really babysit the governor. A lot of the issues that were brought up in the legislature, the hearing that I attended, were surprising. In fact, a question that I answered was, that's amazing. Now, I know that with all the investigation about a year ago, I think once an investigation starts, I think it behooves us to let the process take its course, especially me. I'm in a tenuous situation because I am the lieutenant governor. If I come out and say, yeah, this guy violated all kinds of law, put him in jail, then what? Let's be honest. People are going to say, oh, yeah, because he wants to be governor. And that comment today is still out there today. I know I've talked to Mr. Indalecio again on this issue several times, and we're put in this situation where sometimes it's better not to say anything, especially when there are investigations. Look, 1 year to the day, almost maybe not 1 year, maybe 10 months to the day that we were inaugurated, the FBI went and raided the governor's office and his home. I was disturbed by it because I was coming into my office that morning. Was I supposed to know that he was about to get raided? No, I didn't know what the content of and what the purpose of the FBI raid on the governors. Until this day, I haven't really. I'm there to serve the public, not to be the detective to tell on the governor. And I'm happy that today I look back and I'm happy that I made the decision to go to the legislature and talk with them after they subpoenaed me. I had nothing to hide there. They had all the records provided by finance themselves. The lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth doesn't have oversight authority onto the governor. The legislature has that. OPA is the one that investigates expenditures also. And the Attorney General is the one that prosecutes any violations. Now, there are so many things happening in the 9 months prior to the FBI raid. We were just recovering. We were in full recovery mode from YouTube. Our economy shut down. We were all trying to recover from YouTube. Imagine that. Fast forward to 2020. And by the way, the what is this? 22nd. I think the 21st legislature also started, and Congresswoman Sablan was a member of that committee. The 21st legislature ended, and they send their report over to the AG and the OPA. Unfortunately, to my friend and cousin, as I told you, I'm not in the position to be the one telling on the governor. The records are going to be out there, and I don't do oversight. Like I said, I don't even have access today, now, to any financial records. I sometimes struggle with purchase order from my office, from the Lieutenant Governor's office, accessing the financial management system that was recently put in place. But that's where we're at today. Do you hear me screaming and about it? No. I'm just going to take it on the chin and survive this. I know there's a lot of people, even in finance, that are shaking their heads, and even OMB, that neither me or Congresswoman Sablan has full access to expenditures and fiscal management of this administration today. Yeah, I'm the Lieutenant Governor, but obviously the governor has put an edict out, an order out to shut me down completely from any function in the departments. There's no written order, but that is the order that I consistently told by many cabinet members and department heads. And they don't necessarily agree with it, but they also fear retaliatory action by this administration and its chief of staff. In regards to the first class travel that came out, I believe that was a travel that I performed to Guam, and that was to attend inauguration of Governor Lou de Leon Guerrero. I went down there on coach, on economy class. I'm not sure how I ended up. I thought it was an upgrade. I don't understand how that ended up being a first class travel returning to Saipan. It's a 40-minute trip. I don't need to travel first class from here to Guam. We don't need to do that. That I believe that expenditure, that travel was paid out of the governor's account. So, did I get an upgrade? Maybe. I don't get it. I just don't remember that. I went down there at the invitation, and I think the Senate account that I had when I was in the Senate president was closing out, and I probably didn't have the funds. So, yeah, I mean, and I've reached out to the Attorney General's office and said, let's go. Look, I want to take a look. I'm going to take a look at my records, travel records, and if there's any discrepancies, we would need to discuss it. And then, if necessary, I will pay the fine. I will pay the government back. I've offered that. But let me tell you another thing that I found out. I now do not have access to my own records at finance. Thank you, Mr. Indelation. I know that probably doesn't satisfy you, but I guess that's the best I can to answer your question.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We are giving an opportunity to our listening public to ask a question directly to our two potential governor within the next couple of months from now. So this is an opportunity for our listening public to ask question directly. However, because of time limitation, our rules allow only for one question each. So we're gonna take the question from the landline. Para todo si maniku, oportunidad para en panmamaising question para dos na sinya ha itiutsago yalum i 2 meses na tempo sinya governor-elect. Sige, dun medyo chance na parang paising question si Representative Tina Sablan, number 1 on the ballot. Si Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, number 2 on the ballot. The dongkulis din na oportunidad para itaw-tawta. Mas malada tatsuli i siguiente na question gi landline. Por favor, inan mo para record. Then you can song on mo because I cannot get you in on this question to our two candidate for governor. Landline, you're on the air. Landline, you're on the air. Okay, so I'll give you one more time. Landline, you're on the air. Okay, I'm gonna take that out. Okay, I'm gonna take the cell phone question for the Lieutenant Governor or the Representative Sablan. Okay.
I'm not sure if Tina is comfortable with Chamorro language.
Okay, the rules is either they speak in English or Chamorro, so they have leverage on that. Okay. Go ahead. What is your question?
My question is that we have ARPA funds, but my question, once this ARPA funds is gone, there are several questions that I have that has to do with CUC high costs and what are some of the incentives and how they are going to address with the high cost of fuel in the future. Also with hospital, shortage of staff, equipment, and doctors. Third, infrastructures with traffic congestion and erosions. Also with tax system, what are some of the incentives that will be or
business to promote to continue to survive in this type of economic crisis? 4, what are your plans to address with the bloated government expense? 4th, economy. As we all know, tourism is our #1 industry. What are your marketing strategies or plans to address to continue to entice tourism all over the country to come to Cnmi? 4, with the FY 2023 coming up with a lot of shortage of funding, how are you going to address in the Cnmi in regards to unemployment in the event ARPA is no longer available to support the workforce? Thank you.
Okay. Representative Sablan, that's your question.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. There was a lot that was packed into that, and I will do my best to address some of the different points that were raised. Because you're right, we are heading for a fiscal cliff once the ARPA funds run out, and it is really critical that we begin planning now for that eventuality. And it also, I think, just goes to the point of how important it is that we invest those ARPA funds now in the things that have lasting value for our people, in infrastructure, for example, in education and our educational institutions. You mentioned healthcare, expanding the hospital. That is one of CHCC's priority objectives is to build a new hospital and expand. And there are federal partnerships that we can tap and funding that is available that could help us get to that goal of a new hospital and expanded facilities. Unfortunately, what we've seen in this administration is really not a lot of transparency about how these funds are being allocated. And you know, with respect to the hospital, there were $10 million allocated for an MRI unit, for example, and a hyperbaric chamber. And, you know, MRI is the #1 reason that we send people off island for medical referral. And here we are, you know, more than a year later, and those funds have yet to be transferred, and CHCC is still in the dark about, you know, even just that investment that was promised to them from ARPA. And so, you know, I think spending the money wisely on, again, things that have lasting value for our people, in terms of healthcare, education, and infrastructure, those should be our highest priorities, so that we can get to a place where small businesses have the support that they need, the infrastructure that they need, to one, provide decent jobs, and two, you know, provide the backbone of a healthy economy. That small businesses really need to be the heart of that. And as for, I think you mentioned, you know, where our economic development plan, and, you know, just if I understood your question, it was really, what is our plan for revitalizing the economy and especially our tourism? We have our platform on SablanStaffler.com, and I want to encourage everybody to take a look at it and reach out to us if you have any questions. But really, at the heart of our economic development plan is small businesses and developing a skilled, productive workforce. Those two things are the heart of any healthy economy, and they will be front and center in our administration's plans for economic development. Education is a huge economic driver, and investing in the education and the training of our people is the most important investment we can make now for our long-term economic development. Leila and I will prioritize funding and timely remittances to our public educational institutions. You may have seen in the papers that PSS, once again, is being shortchanged, and they are still waiting for some $5 million that was owed to them weeks ago. And school just started. So, you know, like, this has been a chronic problem in this administration, is making sure that our educational institutions have the funding that they need for operations and for their programs. Our administration will also launch what we are calling the Marianas Jobs Now initiative to provide robust services for, that will bring together the resources of all different agencies to match people who are seeking work with jobs in the private and public sectors, people who are seeking training with apprenticeships and educational programs. We want to provide worker readiness training and support for entrepreneurs, and the list really goes on. And as for small businesses, throughout this campaign, Leila and I have been having listening sessions with small business owners and with entrepreneurs, really gaining valuable insight from them about the challenges that they face and the ways that government can help them and just ease this process of starting and running a small business so that they have the best chance of success. It's not even necessarily just about access to financing. That's one piece of it, but also just the time that people spend waiting in government offices, following up on permits, trying to get paperwork through. That's all money. Time is money for small businesses, and opportunities that could be spent, running and expanding their business and providing decent jobs for people. Something as simple as a checklist, an orientation package with everything that a small business owner might need, to start their venture, that could make such a difference and provide the kind of support that entrepreneurs and small businesses are looking for. As for our tourism industry, and I will wrap up because I'm very mindful of the time, we want our visitors to love coming here, and we want them to return again and again. And, one disappointment of mine in the last couple of years is that we could have been using this time during the pandemic to really clean up our tourist sites and fixing basic things like signage and roads and providing clearly marked trails and maps and and so forth. We want to promote more diversification as well as local participation in our tourism industry. I would love to see more local tour guides. We need to provide them with language training. More local businesses offering local products, including produce from our farms and arts and crafts and value-added goods that could be exported. I'd love to see more investments in industries like agriculture and aquaponics and renewable energy. These things are all compatible with tourism, and they tap into locally available resources and bring economic value for the people who live here. Leila and I strongly believe in the power of collaboration and bringing great minds and resources together from across different agencies, across education and training institutions and the private sector. And I would also say that our plans for improving access to healthcare and improving our healthcare infrastructure, investing in village life and water and power infrastructure, that all goes hand in hand with economic development and planning for the long-term future and the well-being of our people. In many ways, I think we really need to focus on the basics and use the resources that we have to deliver the services and the infrastructure that residents and businesses need to thrive. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for that, Representative Sablan. I know you guys have each one question each. That's the rule. Unless you want one more question, we have lots of people waiting. That's your call. But we're through with that. What do you call this? You want to take one more question from our listening public, Representative Sablan and Lieutenant Governor? One more?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Why not?
All right. Okay, so we'll take the landline. One question for each. The last question for Representative Sablan or Lieutenant Governor Palacios, because we're heading towards the tail end of our program. Landline. Your name, please. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Okay, hold on, please. Let me get you on the air. Okay.
Yes, good morning again. I just wanted to ask the questions pertaining to both candidates and in truthfulness. Am I on the air now?
Can you hear the call, Representative Sablan?
Yes, I can hear the call.
I can hear it better now, but I didn't hear.
You make it louder, please. Make it louder, please.
I wanted to ask this question both candidates.
Okay, go ahead and ask directly to our candidates.
Okay, this is the loudest I can say. So can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead, make it loud.
Yes. The question pertains to both candidates. Have you ever in the past have been caught misusing federal money in any form or manner in regards to your term in office that the government is going?
Okay, thank you for that. All right. We'll go to Representative Sablan first.
Did I hear that question? Have we ever been caught misusing federal funds? Is that the question?
Yes.
No, I have worked in local government with federal grant monies, and I've also worked, of course, for our congressional office dealing with a lot of federal agencies, and no, that's never been an issue. I mean, this kind of reminds me about the question that Mr. Indalecio brought up earlier, like how would I respond to people who say that if elected, I would just become another corrupted public official? And, and I want to say that when I first ran for office, 15 years ago, my first term in the legislature, I was pretty young then, and I heard critics saying the same thing, that they said once I was elected, I would become just another old school politician. I would lose my moral compass. I would accept bribes or offer bribes and forget who I was and vote yes on bills that violated my conscience. And, it was really a terrible view of public service, in my opinion. And I was determined to stay true to my values. I've been advocating for good governance and fairness and honesty in government for basically all of my adult life since I returned home from school. And I haven't wavered from that. I've done that as a citizen, I've done that as an elected official, and I will continue to lead and be guided by these values. And if I may also address the next part of that, because that was 15 years ago, and I'm often asked, how do I respond to people saying that I'm young and inexperienced and not ready to be governor? I'm not that young. I'm 41 years old. Layla is 43. We're actually about the same age as Ralph Torres, who unfortunately didn't show up today. But between Layla and me, we have 40 years of experience in public service. As Layla is a seasoned educator, she's mentored thousands of students in her career, led her schools, and she's now leading the education committee in the House. I'm serving in my third term in the legislature. I've worked on budgets. I've led and participated in legislative investigations, worked in the congressional office, worked closely with federal agencies and with constituents. And I, like Lieutenant Governor Palacios, I have worked in the trenches of government, also collected fisheries data. I've been a small business owner, a nonprofit manager. I've been a journalist. I'm not that young, and I do have a pretty wide range of experience that I would bring to the table as governor. Maybe I look young, and I will take that as a compliment. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so same question goes to the Lieutenant Governor.
A short answer to that, and I guess the question is, have you ever been investigated for misusing federal funds, right? My short answer to that is no. I've never been investigated. Never been investigated for misusing public funds today.
Okay, so the last one we're gonna take from the cell phone. Your name, please, and reduce your background radio so our guests can. Okay, go ahead.
I want to be anonymous, but my question for the two is.
Oh, stand by. Hold on. We need you to state your name for the record. We cannot get you on the air without stating your name. Okay, Pete? All right, Pete. Go ahead, Pete. What is your question?
For the two is, how much would you support agriculture and forestry matters within the Cnmi? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. All right. That's the question from Pete. How are you going to support the forestry, agriculture? elected governor. I think that's Ms. Pete's question. Okay, go ahead. Representative Sablan first.
Thank you. I am a big fan of the forestry and agricultural programs here. I would love to see more initiatives. Earlier, I mentioned that we will be launching a youth conservation corps. I want to get our young people involved in planting more trees, maintaining trails, and promoting more outdoor activities for all of our residents to enjoy, but also to provide opportunities for our young people to participate in the stewardship of our natural resources. I also would love to promote more community gardening and backyard gardening. We have a community garden in our precinct in Sisupi that is still it's still a developing project, but it's very near and dear to my heart, and I'd love to see more like that. There are resources to promote backyard gardening and also on a bigger scale, local farms. One project that Leila in particular has been a very big champion of, that we are very supportive of in the House leadership, has been to the development of the Kagman Watershed. There's a lot of resources with our federal partners that could be made available, particularly to the farmers in the Kagman area, but really across the Cnmi with the soil and water districts. And we really just need the leadership and the commitment to make those partnerships work and deliver those resources to farmers. What I'd also like to see are various resource agencies, and our educational institutions and programs like NMC CREES working a lot more collaboratively to get the technical assistance out and connect farmers with each other, and just provide the resources and support on a greater scale than what we're seeing now, to encourage more agriculture starting at a very young age. There are some really cool programs in our public schools. I think about like the agriculture program at Dan Middle School, and programs that I've seen at San Vicente Elementary in the years past. I love to see programs like that at every single one of our schools, and getting the resources to champions in the public schools who can make those programs happen and turn the lights on for our young people that may want to pursue agriculture or value-added products, for that matter, from local produce. Thank you for that question.
All right, that is addressed to you, Representative Sablan. We're going to take the landline for, yes, any question for the Lieutenant Governor? Last question. Yes, your name, please, and the question should be addressed to the Lieutenant Governor. Yes. Yes, you can speak in Chamorro, but the question will be addressed to Lieutenant Governor. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's a very good comment for Representative Sablan. Telo no tunga naman agang gimapos na sabalo lo agang jufan gi 287-4536 ang bunatan ni program. Waha assistance para maajuda. Okay, agang ajo gi telepono gi private line ang bunatan ni program. Thank you, Ms. Camacho. No? Okay, I'm still waiting for a question for Lieutenant Governor. Last question before we go to the closing statement. You have a question for the Lieutenant Governor?
Yeah, question for the Lieutenant Governor.
Okay, all right. Your name, please. Okay, all right.
I-presente na gobyerno Hello?
Yes.
I-presente na gobyerno ni official Soksogi given the development infrastructures tourism dan ekonomiya. apa planong na dos ni para un check-in ni para un top apa biraranya pagwi presente na gobyerno. Apa din nizo economic strategies and plans and infrastructure plans ni para in sa mga publiko na malo uno gizahamdo na dos na para manayang kapenchegi. Ano na question?
All right. Okay, para Lieutenant ano? Go ahead, Governor.
So, put infrastructure, di para tourism. Malala tatang chongkwa, taza mas sesadi pagu na infrastructure na masosogi pa tourism. Inigi mon tatsosogi sa ani ma shutdown tourism ni pandemic. Because man ihit tengkas o salapi ni federal arpa. It's gimon pagmon na tempo. Ni tatsogi siya chetsu ni para ta improve the destination. Look at no destination enhancement. This the grotto, this the last command post, this the Banzai Cliff. Todo din no. Lotaja matsogwi. Sapa tutungo. Lo matsogi, matsogi taja, magawin matsogi na infrastructure. Edji presente na infrastructure. For example, ezutati ni video governor Chetui Highway Task Force ezu za ami dan si Gold dan si Lis Balahoja kumabisasaji Highway Task Force sa gidin stock ezu. That project was not moving forward. The first bit in the Route 36 na no $39 million custado sa lapi. Kus ban una pandanya todo and we went through a whole process of almost a month to come up with a phase-in approach. Ngan gizan no sumatsak say ribbon lo dudo ko infrastructure for example is katani isagan Coda, and I need to commend we will commend the folks at Coda, the executive director or the managing director of Coda, for coming up and getting the federal resources to build a facility for our transit system. Si Ms. Frida no Maritita and her team. They're the one that we need to come in. It's the pago infrastructure ni Ichalan, Beach Road, ista i task force dyan ni Public Works, dyan ni CIP office, dyan ni NMHC, Mangaigi Yalamedji task force no mana funojan ista mabidaw ista I believe ista masign contract. Now, I don't want to go and take credits for it, but we all had our share of work on it. Whether Tina and I, Congressman Sablan and I will be invited to the ribbon cutting when it's finally done is open for question. That's how it is right now. That's the seeming attitude that we have. Unfortunate as it may, but yeah, I'm very, very used to infrastructure development and the challenges sometimes that they pose, whether it's permitting, whether it's funding. But if we're persistent and focused in getting it done, we will get it done. Now, a lot of you probably heard about the travel bubble. Okay? We spent over $10 million in the Korea travel bubble, and we're about to probably do that with Japan. We subsidized 3 airlines. we spent over $10 million. Did it really matter? Did it really bring us back to where we really want to be at this point? I doubt that. You still have tourism facilities and businesses that are closed down. Who would want to come to a place that looks like a third world country? Who would like to go to Marpi, to the tourist site, when there's no decent restroom facilities? Those are the infrastructure that we should have invested in, rather than putting it all on the travel bubble. And I am all for reinvigorating and reestablishing the Japanese market in tourism. I'm all for that, and I'm pretty sure that Congresswoman Sablan is too. But we need to take a look at how it's done. We're ready to launch this subsidized promotion from Japan. But if you listen intently to the representative from MBA Japan, he said it's going to be soft. Why? Because Japan right now is experiencing another coronavirus spike, and that's keeping the Japanese tourists home domestically. So we're about to embark on an initiative that may not pan well for us, but we need to somehow establish the rapport with major tourism agencies out of Japan. I had the opportunity to talk to one of them, and a major hotelier in Guam, about a month and a half ago. And I posed the question, why don't you come and invest in Saipan? It was just, the guy just had a big smile on his face, and I guess he didn't want to be rude. He didn't answer my question, and we continue to have coffee. He said, you guys used to have almost daily flight from Japan Airlines, daily flight from Northwest Airlines, and at that time, Continental Airlines. We lost it. The Japanese tourism industry pulled out of the Commonwealth. We need to really find out why that is. United itself is getting not unsubsidized air routes from Japan, from different cities in Japan. Every month. Next month, they're going to go into Nagoya and Fukuoka, and then they're going to add more flights out of. What happened to Saipan? What happened to the Commonwealth? There is obviously an underlying reason for that, and we need to get to the bottom of that, rather than spending millions of dollars. And this guy just kind of just smiled at me. I said, what do you think of that? I said, really, the government shouldn't be the one doing that. It should be the travel agencies, the major travel agencies, and the hotel industry in Guam and the Commonwealth that should be subsidizing the airline to come to Saipan, because that would populate their facilities and their hotels here in Saipan. But I also agree that if you go and walk down to hotel streets, it's a disaster down there. And we talk about spending $10 to $12 million on tourism from Korea, yet we didn't spend a penny down in the Paseo de Marianas. Somehow, the priorities are backwards. Now was the today is the time. Actually, since 2 years ago was the time to have invested in this infrastructure. And I thank the individual for asking this question. The economy is, we need to have our tourism rebound. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tanu, we lost 50% of our tourism industry already. And it's not going to come back no matter how many tens of millions we put into it. We need to focus our efforts in Korea and Japan, and we need to talk to them seriously about it, because the Chinese market is not going to come back in the very near future. That market comprises of 200,000 tourists. That market is shut down for geopolitical purposes. I mean, geopolitical reasons between our country, the United States, and China. So we're in dire straits in regards to tourism. So we need to get this right. We need to work with Japan. You know, when we were trying to convince Skymark Airlines to come to Saipan. After all the discussion and all the formalities at the table, when we were sitting down and having tea, the chairman of the board of Skymark, one question. He said, "What's happening with Hyatt?" At the time, the Hyatt Regency's lease was in limbo. And then the president of Skymark asked us a pointed question. What's happening with Toshi Tours and its contract with Manigaha? Because we had just pulled the rug on them. So obviously, these big airline companies are also looking at Japanese companies on islands that for some reason have been disenfranchised or dislocated. And but those are the key issues that we need to revisit with Japan if we're going to reinvigorate that market. We can't just do this by subsidizing for 6 months United Airlines and hope that that works. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're at the end of our program. We're gonna go ahead and go directly to our Representative Sablan for her closing statement, and then to Lieutenant Governor. Go ahead, Representative Sablan.
Thank you. So at the beginning of this forum, I said that our Marianas is at a crossroads, and that you, the people of the Commonwealth, have important decisions to make in this election about the direction that you want our Commonwealth to go. And let's really take an honest look at the state of our Commonwealth now. As Mr. Indalecio remarked earlier, we have a governor who's been raided by the FBI, impeached by the House, and is now facing criminal charges. We have a failed casino and a massive eyesore in the heart of our tourist district, which, as our Lieutenant Governor also acknowledges, is itself in a state of disaster. And we have an administration that has been operating largely in the dark, especially when it comes to finances. I was reminded by, all this talk about the travel bubble and the millions of dollars going to subsidize airlines and the travel bucks that went to tourists in the form of these vouchers. That actually is also the subject of our subpoena to the Department of Finance. We want to know what has been the return on these investments, if any, and where are these ARPA allocations really going? What are we getting in return? Consider that over $2 billion in federal funds, when you take it all together, ARPA, FEMA, the NMHC, CDBG grants for disaster recovery just in the last few years, thanks to the Commonwealth, thanks to Congressman Kilili, I should say, President Biden and the Democrats in Congress. And, I'll say it again, $2 billion. It's a lot of money. And like Mr. Fajaran said earlier, these are monies that were meant for all of us to help us in our recovery from disasters and from the pandemic. And what do we have to show for it? Maybe a few have gotten richer, right? But the average citizen has seen a lot of waste, a lot of abuse, and these inexcusable delays in the delivery of aid like PUA and SARA. We still have hundreds of people still waiting for their PUA. This was supposed to be a weekly benefit to help families through these periods of unemployment during the pandemic. Still, over a year later, people are waiting. We've seen delays in the implementation of critical projects. The Lieutenant Governor mentioned some of these. Fixing our public schools, expanding our hospital, improving our water infrastructure. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to rebuild better and stronger for the future. We cannot afford to squander this opportunity, and yet here we are. But the resources are there. What we need, what Leila and I offer, is the leadership to change course. Old school politics haven't served us. Public corruption steals from everybody, and it hinders our progress as a people. Good governance. We talk a lot about that. It's more than just talk. We are committed to fairness and honesty in government. It's something Leila and I have been championing for basically all of our adult lives. It's about fiscal responsibility. It's about investing in our people, in our quality of life, and our long-term development. And it's about respecting and upholding our laws, leading really with love for our islands and for our people. That's what this campaign is about. That's why Leila and I are running for governor and lieutenant governor. And I want to invite everyone who's listening and viewing today to learn more about the campaign. Reach out if you have any questions. Check out our platforms, theblondestaffler.com, and please come out and vote. The deadline to register is September 9. Election day is November 8. Leila and I are number 1 on the ballot, and we and all our Democrats on this slate, we need your vote. Jesus Maasi, Gilisao, thank you once again, Glenn, for hosting this important forum and providing this public service. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for showing up. And thanks to all our listeners and viewers. God bless our Cnmi.
All right. God bless you too, Tina. Okay, we'll go to the Lieutenant Governor for his closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. And thank you for thanking me, Tina, for showing up. Thank you for showing up too. Unfortunately, the number 3 candidate wasn't able to make it for one reason or another. But $2 billion. Yeah, Congresswoman is right. We've had that opportunity and the resources that was provided to us, first from Sudalore, Mankut, YouTube, various agencies of the federal government, from FEMA to HUD to EDA, USDA, and many others. What have we done? Have you really looked around and said, oh, the recovery effort for Hapo Junior High is on? No. Why? Because the administration wanted to take away the land down there in Chalapia and put Hapod up in Esperdido. That's a fact. $25 million of going back and forth when the Board of Education already made the decision. We need to stop squandering opportunities. $2 billion, over $2 billion in opportunity is something that we cannot allow to happen. It's not acceptable. And that's probably why I got kicked out in most meetings. A lot of agencies don't talk to me because I make them answer timelines. But that's for another discussion. There's a whole meat of infrastructure redevelopment and revitalization in our Commonwealth. From the power plant to alternative energy, to our water system and our wastewater system, to our roads. Do you ever wonder why our commuter terminal is still in a container? I always wonder when I go to Tinian or I go to Rhoda why that is the case. When CPA also got a substantial amount of funding from FAA and from the insurance company. There's no reason for that. It's been 4 years, almost 4 years since YouTube. 6 years or 5 years since Mankin and Sudalore. There was opportunities, but it's just getting it right. Dave and I have a wealth of experience to get the infrastructure system in place in short order. We need to inspire people that are responsible. We're so fortunate for FEMA. FEMA came through. We're fortunate to HUD. They came through $248 million. That's unheard of. EDA came through to give us close to $80 million or $40 million to the college. The college will have a new campus funded by FEMA, funded by EDA. There is no reason why our infrastructure shouldn't be moving. I read in the paper of an agency that said the reason why there's a lot of delays in their infrastructure project is because of permits. Give me a break. Give me a break. That's not even unacceptable. That doesn't even come to acceptable reasoning for that. So we have a lot of work, a lot of challenges ahead. With the experience that we have and the knowledge of how to face down challenges and how to face down non-performing departments, I believe that Dave and I also have the wherewithal to make things happen. These are not difficult projects, accomplishment that we can. Education is key. It's like Representative Sablan. I've been like that. I've been an advocate for education, albeit a lot of people sometimes don't know. But I served Precinct 3 as a congressman for 4 terms. My schools were Hopwood, Marianas, Oli High School, Garpan Elementary School, and all the other schools, in fact. Post-secondary education. To this day, for 21 years, SHEFA has been existing and it sustained itself. I authored that legislation to create SHEFA. And I'm very thankful that to this day, our legislature has not tinkered with it and continue to make sure that the funding and the revenue sources that is used to fund that program continues to be. I'm very happy, actually. I'm looking at Tina and she says she probably did her master's degree using some SHEFA money, and so did Lily, and so did Rolf. So maybe I'm that old, but I did that my first year in Congress. The poker industry sent an emissary saying that I'm going to be a one-term congressman. And that was okay for me. That would have been okay with me as long as we created something that would sustain itself, something that would give back to our community, just in the thought just in the same idea that Representative Sablan is advocating. We've been doing that. I've been doing that very quietly. This gentleman talked about infrastructure. And I'll go back to that again because that's what infrastructure is not really difficult if you're really, really adamant and persistent about it. At 36 years old, I built the Smiling Cove Marina with some of my 4 local fish and wildlife individuals and 1 expatriate biologist. We did that in 1988. We struggled trying to find the resources because the local government wasn't going to give us anything, unfortunately. So we were able to source revenues. Good governance, yes. It's very important. It's critically important for our government. It's very important for our people to continue to have confidence in its government. Those of our ancestors that sacrificed so much to give us the opportunity by becoming a commonwealth, several of them still here with us. Mr. Ed Pangilinan and Mr. Vicente Santos, to name 2. I had the opportunity, my generation had the opportunity to witness the hard work, the persistence, the sacrifices that they make to be able to come to a table and negotiate a political union with a political relationship with the United States. That has provided us with all the tools and the opportunities and has uplifted the Commonwealth's economic livelihood exponentially. It is our obligation to make sure that those opportunities that were created for us in this generation is not squandered and continue to be squandered. Public resources belongs to the public. It's always services before self. That's the mantra of Mayor Apatang and myself and the rest of our independent team. With your help and your support, this coming election, we will make possible a government and administration that would rebuild the Commonwealth, would rebuild its confidence, which will rebuild its trust in itself and rebuild its pride. Thank you. Jesus Mossy, Mr. Glenn, thank you so much, Tina. Nice seeing you. And I look forward to other forums. Jesus Mossy, olamoy para todos imaniikungup dan maniiga paguna ogan. Thank you.
All right, si Zeus Masi. Lieutenant Governor Arno Palacios, number 2 on the ballot. Number 1 on the ballot, Tina Sablan, Representative Tina Sablan. Thank you for showing up. And there you have it, folks. Our 2 potential governor to be. We never know. Okay, it's between you 2. All right, salute Paranzo na do si Zeus Masi.
Thank you.
All right. Para todo do si mani kung talo gi programan Marianas Agupa utungwa nagwasya manggayya gi line. All right, mala na tatsulyas ti ping afa layo no gwapo lang zot ti pago.
si Governor, si Congresswoman na Dina sa vlog. Coming here na speaking in English na si Stalin na Chinese din ko sa si Magpapanagila yatin na di mga farmers.
Alright.
Chinese.
Thank you, Ping Loke.
Apa po masogin na ni problema na ni slavery sa Marianas.
Oh.
Police sa Bakpuy.
Ulo, thank you naman ako ng Ping.
Di ba hindi ko palagi ko para di fighting na ni Ghost. Apa pero kakano ni puro matugol mo na no.
Alright.
Ay last 2 years. Di ba din paulitin no ne.
Esta. Okay, Ping, si Zeus Mose. Alright. Landline, guagweno pa doon zuti. Antisa dita pa na dingo. Landline. Alright, si Zeus Mose. Lumati tempo a panelos ne para ta hutsum. I-programan Marianas Agupa daw kululu na pakpakane. Paresti dos, guaparon zuti. Natsadik. Yes, yes. Okay, landline, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, this is Mr. Bennett. How you doing?
All right, Bennett. Okay, thank you for calling. We're over with the questions already, but go ahead. What's your reaction?
My reaction is, first of all, I want to thank both candidates for showing up. It's a public service for them to do that, and I want to commend both of them for doing it, and I appreciate it. I'm sure it helps to enlighten the public on both of them. It is disappointing that the governor didn't show, but we just have to move on.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
As a Commonwealth, and I hope that you will even have another forum before this is over, because we need to inject more questions and let's get more specific.
Okay.
About some of these
We'll
things.
take more on that on next Saturday on your report.
Right on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
so
so
much. All right. Okay, para si Ambrose. All right. Bonito mga nahani. Data sa lulod ito Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, ito Representative Tina Sablan. Pwede kumaigi pa ako na importantes na inadingan na para na pan huzong siya informasyon para manataw ta. Ihila na nata ni man kumbebit sahit mas klaro magaid. Now, pago na hani man kumbebit sa gifino English put para ugwalo pi uansumas no ipalabra na talalang nos winigi programa tapos si Zeus Mase talo para todo do samdo ni man kung winigi programa Marianas Agupa. Now, magti ora na para tahutsum iprogramata pago na Sabalo do tapan adigo gi Taywini bonito na programa taloy panadingan gilin programata iprograman Marianas Agupa saludo talo para todo do samso na maniko gilin historian Marianas Agupa Mariano Iglesia si Zeus Mase posible pago si Guela Agatete pudi guado ta forum do Sabalo Kapita lang nos pine. Siyempre aloke tanagwa ginin luta dan ginin tinian talo. Si luta si Isidoro Cabrera gwa aloke at sa kinya si luta lo siyempre gigon bravo tana panhunjong siya hapman masisidige alumisengsung dan ilan Syria. Ginin hamid si Alan Castro si Zeus Mase gwa si Glenn H. Manglonia. Inagway sa inafa molig ng pas para todo do samzo adios. Esta otro sábado hubay sa hamzo todo. Hanya aku siguro na. Kundi basta ko. Lo mo ka? At least no lahat ko bobolo siguro na kintang time. Ito ay return fee na gagawin dito no apa do? So